Brides in the Hills 4. If there is a government, it will be easy to protect it, and it is not surprising that it is the government's law according to the will of the many strongmen who escaped from the persecution of the camp folds like Naga, Kaldurga, which is the border of Mysore state. Some independent-minded grassroots leaders were trying to go against it, asking whether injustice becomes justice just because it is enacted by the government. It can be said that even the government would not have hindered his efforts. But Okalaga had bet to protect their rights. The old people, who were both servants and servants of the landlords, did not openly engage in any kind of disputes. But for the own landlords like Seasonake, there was a spirit of, what are we less than 'em, our horse, our staff, our instrument, our bowies, our money, what is the hindrance to us spending? Even in villages like Lakanda where there were no single houses, that arrogant bull could gobble up with impunity. There were 3 houses of old people in Lakanda. One was Sazanayaka's house, the other was Ranga's house, and the other was Patana's house. Of them, Sazanayaka's house was not really worthy of being called a house. Only Sazanayaka's house remained. Knowing that it was insulting, the elders used to call their husbands, Mana, and insisted on calling others the same. Sazanayaka's house was 7 to 8 columns. He was disguised. He had put a mud wall and painted copper tiles on the front. Simbhavi Baramai Heged's cousins, Ranga, Putta, whose houses were actually huts covered with white grass. They had put up the walls made of peanuts. Those 3 houses used to fight with each other in the matter of chicken, sheep, dog, cow, ox, dung, ash, mess etc. Thimanayaka, who hailed from Sita, which was a little more modest than Lakanda, was further impressed by the contempt of the Halapikis of Tama for the Halapikis of Lakanda. A stench spreads faster than been enough for him to reach out and give peace and appease all castes. But there was no money in Kadi's hand or Putty's hand. Simbhavi, who was the owner, did not have the courage to ask Heged. The caste leaders decided that whoever was responsible for the condition of the forest should recover the wrongdoing from them. But because of that, the man could not be found. What the caste leaders couldn't do was that it was difficult for Kadi to judge. She mentions the name of her son-in-law Putta, who has lost both father-in-law and wife over the years. She mentions the name of Ranga, a neighbor who was renowned for his love affairs despite having his own wife. Another time, to the astonishment of all who heard, the name of Sazanayaka of Lakanda, who became the foremost, honorable and landlord of all the leaders of the old age, lost 3 daughters by the age of 40 and vowed never to marry again. She was crying while pointing. The North Star was not visible to the search ship of the leader of Anta, and the North Face was lost, and it was stranded in the middle of the sea. On the other side, Sazanayaka himself came forward, brought medicine from the Kanna Pandit of Megaravali, and saved the forest with difficulty by taking the burden of his stomach. On that day, he made a feast for all the leaders who had come to the trial and sent them away with a seal on their mouths. The leaders who had gathered at Sazanayaka's house in Lakanda that morning for Kadi's questioning had discussed many other issues except that one, because many people had the secret that Sazanayaka was the cause of Kadi's condition, and Sazanayaka also had a good idea to divert the argument in a way that did not bother him. What is the justice for our Dandi to be crossed by a bird, a horse by a bird, and the children of Gauda? Why should we be afraid of fighting? Tomorrow, even if the Dandi is not available for my son's marriage, even if the man and the woman are on the horse, they must go to Dibba. In the afternoon, when all the other leaders had left, Sazanayaka felt calm and started talking about his son's marriage with his son-in-law Sicharu Thimanayaka, and about the equipment to be made for carrying the man on a horse and carrying the Dibana. Even when it was dark and raining heavily, the little Ranga of Naramane came and took his son and 10 fish. Even when he went to bite, he did not notice. Kadi came and brought a lot of foam of goat's milk and 2 finely chopped male shavings, and after glancing at both of them sitting with blankets up to their necks as if smiling, both of them looked at each other meaningfully and started to work. Sasanayaka filled the bowls of sourdough to overflowing and shouted, "Fight! Fight! Win Nodatu, Bava," he said. Brides in the Hills 5. To be continued.